I'm gonna do this. I decided to do this live. Let me bring out my little paper and stuff. Not much, but I had jotted down something. So today I was listening to, as many people that's following this story and stuff, they listening in for the especially today, because it was announced that there was going to be a press conference at the national convention of the NAACP, right? So we was all in there listening. I guess I'll wait a couple of minutes because I just came straight out the gate talking. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes. If you tap in with this, please fast forward until you see people talking, all right? Or hear people talking, if you hear me talking. So I'm gonna give a couple of minutes. Here we go, hit it off. Yeah, I write chicken scratch. I can hardly even read any of this. Preliminary. I gotta learn how to say preliminary. Preliminary. I cannot say that for nothing to save my life. What's good, y'all? If you're in the room, make sure you hit that like button. Share it out. Share it out. I decided to do this live. Got my little notes right here. With big wads of paper that I done chicken scratched all over. And I expect this to go swell. I expect this to go swell. Just giving like one more minute and then I'm gonna begin. I should be making this a video, but it is gonna be a live because lives are just always quicker to do. And once I get through with this live, may determine if I'm gonna jump off and jump back on, right? But I do want to talk about the Nolan case. Because I've just jumped on the Nolan case, right? I've just jumped on it. Ain't like we late to the party because it's moving pretty fast. The incident happened on July the 4th. And also, what's going on, Sean? It happened on July the 4th and it's still ongoing, right? So, yeah. So, as we know it, the autopsy, there's been 2 autopsies that's been performed on Nolan so far. The first one has yet to come back, right? Yet to come back. And really with the first one, they always talk about it, preliminary autopsy. They say that it don't take that damn long. It don't take that damn long to find initial findings, and not for like toxicology report. Like to get that back, it all depends. It could take weeks, it could take days, shit, it could take months. So we all understand that. I mean, I understand that or whatnot, but to just tell if somebody what happened to somebody right out back, they say it doesn't take that long. And they not understanding all the medical people. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm a damn doctor or something, but all the medical people, they all attesting that, hey man, it really don't take that damn long. Like, what's going on? So yeah, so the first autopsy is just for initial findings, like stuff that's obvious to you, like it's just to give like early determination for the cause of death, right? Appreciate that follow. Who is that? Simply Vanna. Yeah, so, but doing another report, you know, that's deeper than that, it could change or add things to the findings. So we all know that things can change. So everybody like, why is it fucking taking so motherfucking long, bro? You know, so they did a press conference, like I said, at the national convention of the NAACP today that was called by Ben Crump, which is the family's attorney, the family of Nolan Wells. It's their attorney for this case. Let me see. Okay, when Ben Crump came up, right, which I'm not a big fan of Ben Crump, but hey, here we go. That's they choosing, you know. When Ben Crump came up, he introduced, well, he didn't say he introduced, but yeah, because we didn't know. I guess he got of course he got a team of lawyers. I know one of his biggest base is right here in Dallas, but he he shouted out some of his lawyers that's working on the case too. So I'm gonna just recognize them also. He announced attorney Lisa Parks, attorney Eric Hertz, attorney Gary Birkins, attorney Camilla Moore, Cliff Jones, attorney Alan Williams. For the last two, he didn't put attorney on there, but I'm believing they're attorney because he put commas between it, right? And one thing that stood out to me that he did say, appreciate that, VR Bros, appreciate that, man. One thing that Ben Crump did say that stood out to me, that he was like, he's on a ferocious search. Everybody is on a ferocious search for the truth. The truth. You know, so and from the jump, he allowed the father and the mother to speak before they got into any of the details of the autopsy report, because that can be, I mean, they done went through enough pain, right? They going through enough pain. They ain't gonna say went through enough pain. They continuing to go through enough pain. So he let them speak, and that was real. Like, I like that. That was very humbling. Like, let the mother and father get off what's on their mind. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for this video. Already, Tim P. Appreciate you. Tim P, I got to reply to your message. I saw your messages and everything, and I am going to reply. When I get back home, I'm going to sit down and go through what I done missed today. So, so the mother got up there, and I'm not going to quote her word from word, but to sum things all up, she said the only question, because everybody had their questions, she see everybody talking about it. It's a difference when you in it, you know what I'm saying, versus when you just can sit down and you could talk about it like me and others and everything else. But she said that the only question that she really has and she won't answer is what happened to our son. She said she just want to know what happened to her son. And she said in the media that she's been misrepresented, and she say that people have called her a racist. They questioning her parenting, you know, even the GoFundMe that they got, they questioning and talking about the GoFundMe. Of course, right? Of course, they try to paint this narrative. And she said, hey, I'm a health provider. She's a health provider. You know, that's what she do for work. And she said, it's nothing about that. She said, I love everybody. I'm a health provider. I just want to know simply what happened to our son. And even though that she's getting done wrong, I believe, in my belief, she's being done wrong by the local authority that's taking up this case, she still has hope in the local authority to do what's right, you know. And she gave her thank yous, and she still has nothing from the local authority, though, of course, right? And then it came down to the father's time to speak, and the father had the same thing to say, basically parenting the mother, his wife. And he said that he expressed his love for his son. He expressed the hard work that his son put in, even on the football field, off the football field. Said he was the funniest. I know for sure that they had, his son had wanted to have 3 daughters, right? I already had the names picked out for the daughters, you know. That's kind of guy he was. He was very playful. He said that he can't wake up every day. Every day he wake up, he thinking about that he has lost a part of him, you know, that he can't play with. Hold on, y'all, I'm getting emotional. He cannot play with anymore. You know what I'm saying? He can't get mad at his son anymore, you know. And that's a hurting, I bet it's a hurting feeling. I can't relate to it, but I can sympathize with him. He said every day is a challenge for him, you know. And the things that the media, and not just the media, well, yes, the media now that they done picked it up and chose this narrative, but he said the things that the local authorities were talking about and are talking about is not a representation of Nolan. It's not anything that Nolan would do. So you can't sit up here and tell me that my son would have did this when I know my son. I know my son wouldn't did A, B, and C. So the things that y'all saying is out of character because we know him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry that I'm long-winded on that, but he did say thank you very much. And he thanks everybody very much for being a part of this and trying to figure out what is the root problem, right? So with that being said, an autopsy was done, and the autopsy was paid for by Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, however y'all want to call him. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick. You know, the man who got down on one knee, the football player, because I don't watch sports, but he's the Afro dude that got down on one knee, right? So, yeah, so the attorney that I mentioned earlier, Lisa Parks, she introduced his accolades. You know, she introduced about what the man who did the autopsy report was all about. His name is Dr. Roger Mitchell. He's a pathologist of 2 decades. Matter of fact, he got 2 decades of experience, and not only that, he right now, I'm not gonna go through his whole list of, you know, things that he's done, but right now he sit as the president of the National Medical Association, which is the largest and the oldest black physician group in the United States. So yeah, the boy done been through some things. This ain't no Rudy Poo. They said they wanted the best, and they said they went after the best. So they do have the best autopsy report from the best, one of the best physicians in the United States. So let's break that down for a minute. I'm gonna have to go off the top of my head, y'all, because I do have it on my phone, and I just realized that I have the autopsy report on my phone, so I just can't read through it about what it. But I read through the whole thing. It's not hard to read if y'all do want to hear it. Yeah. If y'all do want, and he was something at Howard too. So yeah, if y'all want to read the autopsy report that he did give, it is posted on my wall of Nolan right now, so you can go look at the post. But let me see. So it was rumored, basically, before I get to the autopsy report, it was rumored that Nolan was in an altercation with somebody. Now, this is what they say around there, you know what I'm saying? Nobody is speaking up. That's the whole thing about this whole damn shebang. In Mississippi, the authorities, the Jackson County, they are not speaking up. Nobody's calling anybody back, nobody's reaching out, nobody's giving any information. You know, they just basically ruled this thing out, you know what I'm saying? So they ruled this thing out for us. So I feel bad on the account of, let me see, that the family not getting no answers. And that's one of the main things that the mother was talking about. The mother has hope that they will get answers, and they haven't, you know, totally threw people under the bridge as far as in blaming this or blaming that, but they just calling a spade for a spade. And one of the questions, one of the what you call it, the press had, somebody from the press had in the audience after all this was over, was asked the mother, how's the contact between you and the Mississippi authorities, right, that's handling this case? And she said she haven't heard from them. She had to, like 2 days after the fact, she reached out through text message and said, hey, is there any updates on the case? And she said no. He said no, it's no. He just reached out back to her and called her back and was like, hey, it's no updates. It's looking like a drowning, basically no foul play. She said 1 hour after Nolan's body was found, 1 hour after they pulled his body out the water, the sheriff now said, hey, it's foul play. Like, how could you determine that? You know, how are you determining that? And then, you know, a lot of people, but a lot of people have painted off the narrative of, hey, this is a race thing, And she said, and the father said, that, like, we didn't say that. Nobody else is saying that but them. You know, them. They the only one that's bringing up that, hey, there's no foul play in this. Like, what the hell? They have a right to get answers, but that's Mississippi. That's Mississippi for you. That is Mississippi for you, right? So let me see. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna have to go off the head with the report. So with the report, Dr. Rogers Mitchell, he gave a very good report. When he went in, he said that he didn't find trauma as far as in broken bones, bruises. The body was kind of, you know, because it been in water and it's been out for a couple of days and it's been in that water for a few days too. You know, I don't want to sound very gorgy about the situation, but the body wasn't very intact. But from his findings, he didn't find anything. He checked the knees, the legs, the arms, he didn't find any broken bones, like talking about no fractures or anything like that. But the neck. And I listened to other people in the medical field that do autopsy. They was talking about, okay, they can't find this, they can't find the trauma and stuff like that, but they would really like to know what that neck looks like, you know, because if you find the neck, you can find if it was any strangulation, if it was any torn ligaments, you know. It told a lot. And also no lungs. It was no lungs, no neck. So it was, I'm not gonna say missing because they didn't want to say missing. I know some people keep saying, hey, this was missing, their stomach was missing, this was missing. It's not missing. They didn't send it with his body. And the man who was doing the autopsy, he said in the autopsy report, he said this is common. Basically, he did it in his practice when he was practicing this more, instead of doing one-offs. But it is common for them not to send parts if they are further in their investigation until they fully close their investigation, you know. But some of the things in the organs that are pulled out of the body when it's going to a second autopsy and stuff, they will put it in the bag, seal the bag up, and then they'll put the bag inside of the cavity of the person, and they'll send everything with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not missing. It's just not, it didn't come for that second autopsy. Why? We don't know. And that's the whole question of why. Like, why wasn't any pictures sent? You know, why wasn't any explanation of why, you know? But that would have told a lot more. That's the only reason that they willing to rule, he was willing not to rule out no foul play, because he didn't see that neck. He didn't see that neck, or he didn't see that the lungs and stuff. And also it'll show if it was water inside of it. Man, it's a lot going on with this case, but he was like, you'll be able to show if water went down inside of it and everything like that. But one thing that was interesting, and that was very, very, very important, is in the back of Nolan's head, not fractured inside his skull or anything, but in the back of his head, he said it was red. It was like a red gash. It's a red gash wrapped around his head, and in the center of his head, there was like a 8 to 12 inch, you know, gash in the back of his head that was unexplained. And also, it wasn't, he could tell that it wasn't examined properly. That's basically what he was saying. It wasn't examined because there was no incision. There was no incision there, but it was red in the back of his head, and he would like to know where that came from. But you know what I'm saying. But hey, they don't know. They don't know where they came from. All the body parts were in that set with the second autopsy. Why not? Why not? All the body parts were in that set with the second autopsy. Why not? What's up on timing topics? What you mean, Tim? All the body parts that were with that set with the second autopsy. They didn't send any. They didn't send all the body parts with the second one. They doing the first one, and this is the thing though. The first autopsy was supposed to been done. Like it. Why is it taking so long just to give that you know, closing on that? Now, let me see if I'm still rolling. Y'all still here? My bad. Yes, because they had the funeral yet. Yes, wow, that's big. Yes, because they had the funeral yet. Oh, y'all still here, or I kicked y'all off? The question is, why they didn't send all the body parts for the okay, y'all here? Okay, my bad. My phone overheated. Y'all, it's hot as a motherfucker out here. So let me let my phone cool down for a minute. My bad, y'all. My bad. I had to cool my phone down. All right, so The reason why. Now, this is what the pathologist Roger Mitchell, who performed the autopsy, said. He said the reason why they sometimes don't. He said in his profession, he has held back different body parts like that before. It's a normal thing. But he said the reason why is because they are further investigating those parts. But my thing is to further investigate the throat. It sounds like I'm just speculating now. This is not, none of this is true yet. But it sounds like some kind of strangulation, some kind of damage, because why else to hold it back? If there's nothing wrong with those parts, then there's no reason to hold it back, right? Come on here, y'all. Let me on this interstate. Shit. Let me on a little bit. All right, yeah. So that's what I'm getting. You hear? What's up, Pug? Pug, I was talking about you the other day to another Pug. I told the Pugs they should start beefing because y'all got each other name. But yeah, y'all, that's what I'm getting out of it. Like, I know a lot of people gonna be like, oh man, they got the throat, they got this, they got that. That is true. Like, cause a lot of other medical people that was talking on it, that, I've looked at a lot of reviews and stuff, and they all saying the same thing. They saying that throat would tell them a lot. And also he had follow-up questions. I posted the questions on my post if y'all want to go look at the questions. But Dr. Rogers Mitchell, he had like 7 or 6 questions. Let me put my seatbelt on. He had like 7 or 6 questions where he wanted to ask. And I know one of them at the gate was he wanted to know what the condition of Nolan was when he went into the water. Could he swim? Was he forced into the water or was he hit and went into the water? See the red spot on the back of his head that looked like it looked like a red band. He couldn't tell you what it was, but he know that it was not fractured and it wasn't investigated either by the first autopsy because there was no wide incision. There was no incision on the back of his head to even go further into the skull to even investigate that. You know what I'm saying? So he was really confused on why that was there. But indeed, he said it was not fractured. It was not he didn't have any fractures. Nolan was intact. His body and stuff was intact. And then you have to think about it, y'all. Like, I know I said I don't want to be gruesome and stuff like that, but, dealing with water and stuff, and you being out there in that water, other, like, organisms and stuff like that can feed and eat off you. You're gonna feed and grow stuff and inside you and stuff like that, too. So that could have played a factor in a lot of the things that was going on with them too, and that was mentioned too. They did something to them and they know something. They did something and they know something. I believe they did because outside of the autopsy, because that's what I was just looking at today. I'm late to the party over here, and I ain't gonna say it's that kind of party. I'm just saying I'm late to the subject matter. But the things that I've been hearing about the cell phone, he wanted to stay behind on Iron Island or whatever the island was called. He wanted to stay behind on the island and talk to this chick, and this chick say no, he wanted to go back with his friends. So that's not adding up. And like the parents say, like, we know our children, and even us, we know our people. So we know ain't nobody finna stay out. No teenage kid finna be like, teenager. I ain't gonna say teenage kid, but a teenager ain't gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna leave my cell phone. He left his cell phone, the boat, GPS and stuff. It's just not adding up. TMZ even put out a picture where, say a picture, but they have a video. TMZ has a like crocodile, alligators, stuff like that. But TMZ got a video of what looks to be Nolan in the swim shorts, and the swim shorts look just like the swim shorts he had on when he was on the back of the boat with those three white men or three white boys on the back of the boat. But it looked like he was leaning down, putting something in a cooler or something like that, you know. So if they could confirm that was him, or if they see just that, and I believe it was him, you know, and it looked just like him. He was just turned backwards and bent down. But if they can match that time, that'll give them a little bit more time frame on where they were. And my thing is, nobody's saying nothing. Now I'm yet to look at the interview with the friend. You know, why are these people not being questioned and investigated? These people are not being investigated. You know, and we all know that if it was one of us and the tables were turned, they will investigate us into the highest degree. You know, and it's not that and Ben Crump. Now I agree with this on Ben. I don't like Ben Crump ass. Now I ain't no fan of him. But when he said this at the end, it really made sense for him to say this. He said, we don't want anything special. We don't want anything special. We never did want anything special. You know, we just want justice and, a fair investigation. You know, because wrong is wrong. A fair, impartial, comprehensive investigation is what everybody's calling for. And the officials, the city officials, Mississippi down there, they are not doing a due job at that. And that's just what it is, you know, because the family we don't want anything that's, crooked, anybody to pay or anything like that if no wrongdoing was done. And that's another thing the autopsy report showed, was that Roger Mitchell, he kept it clean and he kept it straight. If it wasn't no trauma there, no blunt force trauma, and he could see it, he said, I ruled that out. You know, I ruled this out. His legs was intact, his arms was intact, his neck wasn't broke. These things wasn't this, but I can't explain that big red gash on the back of his head. You know, I can't explain what I can't see, but so I'm not ruling out, any wrongdoing out. I'm not ruling that out yet, because I don't see his throat. His throat tell a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? Let me see if they grew up together. Suspicious. They feeling the tense and people ain't out here riding. You know, people not, even the father came out and was like, look, I don't even want, and that's another thing with the father that made my ass chapped with him. You know, just to say, I don't want to believe it's a race, and nobody wants to believe it, but you don't get on that. You hurting your chance of getting justice for your son if it were. But don't nobody, and everybody right mind, nobody want to believe there's no race, nothing involved. But we just can't live like we live in a post-racial society. You know what I'm saying? We all know that is a very high capability. I'm not saying it's every time though. But we're just going off the facts that's given and stuff. And also, 300 to 400 people are out there. And nobody know nothing? 300 to 400 people out there, and nobody know nothing. Nothing at all. Zip, zap, nothing. Tell me, I'm the only, Tuscum? Tuscum in the group? Tuscum? I ain't never heard that. I feel funny going swimming with them because I can't. I don't know how to swim. I don't think it's racism either. I feel it might have been jealousy of Nolan. He wasn't, and you know what? And another thing, Tokeism. Oh, Tokeism. I don't think. They're not talking, they just don't want to get involved. Look, and check this out. Another thing, the mother said that she, one thing she asked for the sheriff and all these people not to do in Mississippi, she said, hey, please do not treat my son like he's not human, and also like don't treat this case like it was one of your loved ones and your members. And she said that they told her they would, and they didn't. They painted a narrative. The narrative came out, and that's just what it was, you know. And another thing that was brought up, not in this press conference, but the narrative of him on the boat with the white kids and stuff like that. Nolan wasn't the only black person out there. Yes, it was way more white people now. It was a white event, but Nolan wasn't the only black person out there. Nolan wasn't the only black person out there. Let me see. And then she had went on to say that she wanted, if not for this, she also wanted to, they need to give the boys a lie detector test. They need to get the boys a lie detector test. I don't know why they don't put these people through these due processes, you know what I'm saying? But another thing she said, it's crazy because I talked about it, like one of these kids, I think probably is one of my cousins out here, but I have to check up on it. But you know, you had them long lost cousins and stuff like that. But I saw my cousin on a press conference about this other boy. I'm not gonna say which boy it was because I gotta confirm it, before I put that out. But this is not the only event that happened July 4th. July 4th, the black community lost a couple of people on July 4th. One of them is Taylor Smith, and she said it's just not for me and my kid. Hopefully this could help somebody else, they mother and they family and they father too. So Taylor Smith was at a house party. If y'all ain't hear the story, but he was pew-pewed. I ain't gonna say he was pew-pewed, but he got a bullet in his head at a house party. That he was there with nobody else. He was the only black person. He was with all white people, right? Now, pew-pewed in the head. They called the police. They made up. Well, I ain't gonna say they made up. They said this story. This is what they story, and they sticking to it, right? They said they was all playing Russian roulette. 10 other white kids. They was playing, and this black boy said they was playing Russian roulette. And so the mother was like, hey, well, check the residue. Can we get residue, gun residue from the hands of them and stuff like that? But the police and stuff told her and the family there's no need if they was playing Russian roulette, and just closed the case and said he died from self-inflicted harm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is messed up. We want you to do your job and investigate. That's what we want you to do. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm bringing up. So yeah, Crump, he brought up that. He brought up the hold on, y'all, I'm getting over. All right, yeah. Yeah, and he brought up, what's the other guy name? The Irvin, that guy, Irvin, what's his name? Daniel Irvin. Brought up Daniel Irvin. And Daniel Irvin had the same similar case as this. Now, I believe they were supposed to be jumping out bridges into a lake of water or something like that. Either way, it was a swimming deal, right? And the same thing happened. But this time, it was proven that the people involved, the white people that was involved with this, they scooped up his clothes and tossed his clothes, got his cell phone, tossed his cell phone, deleted messages between them, and the only thing they got charged with is tampering with evidence. That is insane. But that's what we living in today, man. And a lot of people be like, man, y'all just want sympathy and all this. No, we're fucking dying, nigga. We're dying. Just like the little baby at Walmart, from the Pamper situation, It's just a lot going on, and I want y'all to stay safe out here. I just wanted to come and give y'all a little update on the autopsy report that The family paid for the Kaepernick guy. He made, he paid for that. So shout out to him. Shout out to this family. Hope they get the justice that they deserving. And also, I believe that the family is now taking out a lawsuit to get paid for this too, also, from the investigation not being properly done. So we're gonna look into that too. That's a damn shame. Yeah. That's a damn shame. And I really want to get on this. Who did I say picked up the case? Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace picked up the case, and that's very alarming to me. I'm not a big fan of Nancy Grace, but I used to watch her in the back in the day a lot. I used to watch her a lot, but Nancy Grace, there's a reason, there's an agenda. I just can't put my finger on it, and I think I know it, but I just don't want to say it because it haven't been brought to the attention yet. But I know people are like, well, if she ain't said nothing bad, that don't mean that everything that look good for you and sound good for you ain't always good for us. You see what I'm saying? And by the time you realize it, or by the time you say, oh, well, we were just giving them a chance, people have been fucked you. They've been fucked you now. There's no need for a program or a broadcast like Nancy Grace to pick anything up, because the talks are already within the people. We the mass of it. So why are they moving it? Why are they moving this whole conversation to a broader broadcasting that can't control the narrative? Don't let them control the narrative. You know what I'm saying? We haven't been hearing from a lot of people, and that's just what it is. So don't just pick it up just because you have an agenda. I believe she has an agenda. So yeah. Mo, did you hear about the young man in Detroit? He went to a festival with his friends, and they found him the next day. Yeah, he was in the bushes. Yeah, I did hear that. I did hear about that. I heard about that. Y'all, I'm finna blank out for a minute, but come back if y'all still there. I don't think I'm gonna blank out for too long. But I absolutely did hear about that. Like that Metcalf situation. She was against the other boy. Yes, and yeah, right. We can't forget about that. We can't forget about that. And whatever happened to this, it's so easy for us to keep going on and going on and going to the next thing and going to the next thing. And I named on my last video about 6 or 7 things back to back, and they all happened in July. They all happened in the month of July. Used to watch Nancy Grace too. Yeah, I used to watch her. She went a little lunatic. I believe, didn't her husband or something like that get unalived or something? I can't trust her as far as I can throw her. And being either, but this ain't the time for that right now. You know what I'm saying? Because the family it's not the time to focus on Ben getting out of there, but we keep an eye on them. But still, in all, the family made their decision to go with Ben. And hell, it's more than the Mississippi. It's more than the Mississippi authorities are doing right now. We can all agree to that. Nancy Grace was the case, Cassie Anthony case. Yeah, and that's because she was of that color. That's what I'm saying. Like, nothing else runs with us with Nancy Grace. So what do we, Nancy, Nancy, sit the fuck down, Nancy. Come on, Nancy. Not right now, Nancy. Later, Nancy, later. Later. But y'all keep rocking with me. We gonna keep on. I'm a little late. I'm late, but we right on time. Whoever can keep their eyes on it and not let this story just boil over out of control with bullshit, because it's a lot of stuff. And you know what? Not only that, I'm not seeing a lot of conspiracy theory going on with this case. We just want answers from the authorities in Mississippi. Niggas are tired of Mississippi. Everybody knows about Mississippi. God damn. that song is true. Shout out to Nina Simone. Like, for real. We done had enough of Mississippi. Mississippi keep up more bullshit than a motherfucker. Like, we done had enough of Mississippi. The Holloway case, she stayed on that for a long time. She went to the Arula, her classmate, and she disappeared and never came back. Oh, she went to class trip with her classmate, yes, and never came back. Yeah, when she gets stuck on something, she's stuck on something. That's why we don't need all that hoorah, hoopla, and all that other stuff, you know. And at first, Nancy came out and she was talking a little greasy towards this case a little bit. And we kept tapping in, and then she came around, you know. But granted, Nancy granted, anybody that ain't picking up on the case, they be a little confused, so they got their questions, I understand. But I don't see how she could miss over this and just get on the air and don't know this and don't know that and don't know this, you know. Like, even me, I picked up some stuff and I still knew a little bit, you know. You can't confuse me. You can't confuse me with that, like she ain't knowing. Like, you know what's going on, Nancy. You got producers and everything. You know what's going on. Aruba. Went to Aruba. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all coming through. I'm gonna make this a little short one today, but I just wanted to get that out. Talk about that for a little minute because the press conference dropped. And we're going to keep on following up as it come out. And yeah, this is the Nolan case, man. I hate that. I really want to know more information about that throat and neck and all that stuff when it come out. What the autopsy going to read for them on that part. Also, I would like for them to get I'd like them to get that Dr. Roger Mitchell, up on the stand also. Bring him to the stand forth. You know, let him talk about his findings and stuff like that. So hopefully the DA will let them in the courtroom to talk what they need to talk, you know. You did a great follow-up. I already know you'll keep it up to the updates. Oh yeah, most definitely. Nancy definitely don't get an invite to the cookout, but she's a different set of eyes, insight, perspective we don't normally get to hear from. Yeah, and tell you the truth, I don't even really want to hear from her. You know, I don't even want to hear from her because if you're not adding value that I think that could help, then what's talking about is gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already have the coverage that she have, but she got the coverage in one person. You know, it could be 20 million of us saying one thing. Nancy Grace can have 40 million people saying one thing just from her tongue. That's what makes her dangerous. That's what makes her dangerous. She ain't getting no cookout to me, and I particularly really don't want to fucking hear it, tell you the truth. It took you this long to pick up on this? Nah, you been heard about this. I believe she was sent with the agenda to move the masses. That's it. There's nothing else to look into that can mean something from your heart. You know what I'm saying? I just cannot see it. And for me to say that is very opinionated, and I'm gonna keep it at that. It's opinionated because I know other people gonna have their opinions and stuff too. But hey, somebody's birthday on the 25th. That boy turned that magic number on the quarter. Shout out Sean the Don having his birthday. Go on, say something back, Sean, because I'm finna get up off of here. And I want to hear from you, birthday boy. We might not like, but that's her lane. And maybe she's had a change of heart. Sean, I'ma text you. I can't say it on here, but I will hit you up. I will hit you up. But all right, man, I appreciate y'all, man, for coming in, tapping in, showing love. Make sure you share this out. What's good, Amelia? Make sure you share this out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you run across this, and we're gonna keep it jumping, all right? One love. Shout out to Tim too. Shout out to Pug. Everybody who came in the room.